stop scrolling, because the next penny you ignore could be worth thousands, or even more. Most people think old wheat pennies are just pocket change, but a few rare ones have shocked collectors with massive prices. One of these valuable wheat pennies looks completely normal at first glance, but a small detail in the date and lettering makes it incredibly rare. Coins like this have sold for huge amounts, and many people have spent them without even noticing what they had. Another wheat penny is valuable because of a minting mistake. A tiny error during production created a coin collectors are desperate to find. If you ever notice strange doubling, uneven letters, or something that just looks different, don't ignore it. That could be the coin everyone is searching for. And then there's a wheat penny that becomes valuable simply because of condition. A perfectly preserved coin with sharp details and no damage can be worth far more than its face value. Most of these were lost or damaged over time, making the few remaining examples extremely desirable. The scary part is, these coins are still out there, hiding in jars, drawers, and everyday change. So before you spend another penny, take a second look, because one small coin could be worth a lot more than you think. Follow for more rare coins worth serious money.
Coin number 1. Stop for a moment. Because the coin you're about to ignore could be dangerous and he one you regret the most. The 1948 wheat penny doesn't look rare. It doesn't stand out. It doesn't feel valuable. And that is exactly why so many people have spent it without a second thought. But history has proven something again and again. The coins people overlook are often the ones that quietly gain value over time. The 1948 wheat penny was struck during a time when the United States was still adjusting after World War II. Millions of these coins were produced, and they entered circulation quickly. For decades, they were treated like any other penny, used, worn down, and forgotten. But here's where things get interesting. Not all 1948 pennies are the same. Small differences, tiny details most people never notice, can completely change a coin's value. And collectors are willing to pay serious money for the right ones. There are multiple versions of the 1948 wheat penny depending on where they were minted. Each mint used different dies, different striking conditions, and over time, those differences created variations that collectors study closely today. Some of the most valuable 1948 pennies are those found in exceptional condition. Coins that somehow escape circulation. Coins that were never scratched, never cleaned, never damaged. These are called high-grade coins, and they are far rarer than people realize. Most 1948 pennies were handled thousands of times. Dropped, rubbed, stacked, and worn down until their details faded. So when a sharp, clean example appears, collectors notice immediately. Then there are error coins. This is where things can change completely. During production, mistakes happen. Dies can shift. Metal can flow incorrectly. Letters can appear doubled. Lines can crack across the surface. These errors are not supposed to happen, but when they do, they create coins that are completely unique. Some 1948 wheat pennies show signs of doubling in the date or lettering. To the untrained eye, it may look like damage. But to a collector, it's something entirely different. It's a minting error, and that can increase value significantly. There are also coins with die cracks, thin raised lines caused by stress fractures in the minting dies. These cracks tell a story of pressure and time. Each one is slightly different, and once the die is replaced, that exact pattern can never appear again. Off-center strikes are another type of error. When the coin isn't properly aligned during the strike, part of the design is shifted or missing. The more dramatic the error, the more collectors pay, especially if the date is still visible. But here's the part most people don't want to hear. Many valuable coins have already been lost, not because they didn't exist, but because nobody looked closely enough. Think about how many pennies you've handled in your life. Hundreds. Thousands. How many did you actually inspect? How many did you assume were worthless? That's how rare coins disappear. They don't vanish, they get spent. They end up in machines, jars, and cash registers. They get scratched, cleaned, or thrown away. And once that happens, their potential value is gone forever. Cleaning is one of the biggest mistakes people make. A shiny penny might look better to you, but to a collector, it's ruined. Cleaning removes the original surface of the coin, and with it, the value. Even a rare error coin can lose most of its worth if it's been cleaned. So if you find a 1948 wheat penny, the best thing you can do is nothing. Leave it as it is. Examine it carefully. Look at the date. Look at the letters. Look for anything unusual, doubling, cracks, misalignment. If something looks different, don't ignore it. Because the difference between an ordinary coin and a valuable one is often just a tiny detail. Another factor that affects value is rarity over time. Even though millions of 1948 pennies were made, far fewer survive today in collectible condition. Every year, more are lost, damaged, or destroyed. That means the number of desirable coins keeps shrinking. And when supply goes down, value can go up. This is how coins that were once ignored start gaining attention. First, a few collectors notice. Then prices begin to rise. Then more people start looking. And suddenly, what was once common becomes hard to find. And that's when regret begins. I used to have those. I spent so many of them. I never thought they were worth anything. Those words appear again and again in the world of coin collecting. Because value doesn't always come from rarity alone. Sometimes it comes from being overlooked for too long. The 1948 wheat penny is still in that space. It's old, but not old enough for everyone to take seriously. It's common, but not as common as people think. It's valuable, but only if you know what to look for. And most people don't look. That's why opportunities exist. That's why collectors search through rolls of pennies, jars of coins, and old collections. Not because every coin is valuable, but because one might be. And finding that one coin changes everything. So before you ignore another penny, before you assume it has no value, take a closer look. Because the biggest losses in coin collecting don't come from not having rare coins. They come from having them and not knowing. And somewhere, right now, someone is spending a coin that another person would never let go. Don't let that be you. Because the coin you overlook today might be the one you wish you had tomorrow.
If I told you that a simple 1-cent coin from 1944 could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands of dollars, would you believe it? Stay with me, because today we are uncovering one of the most shocking hidden treasures in American coin history, the 1944 wheat penny. And the truth is, you might already have one in your pocket right now without even realizing it. The 1944 wheat penny looks ordinary at first glance. It features Abraham Lincoln on the front, and on the back, 2 wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent. Millions of these coins are produced, and because of that, most people think they are worthless. But that is exactly why collectors get excited, because rare variations are hiding among the common ones. Now here's where things start to get interesting. The year 1944 came right after one of the most unusual moments in U.S. coin history. During World War II, copper was needed for the war effort, so in 1943, pennies were made from steel. But in 1944, the U.S. Mint switched back to copper, or at least, that was the plan. Because of leftover materials and minting errors, some 1944 pennies were accidentally struck on steel planches instead of copper. And this mistake created one of the rarest coins in American history, the 1944 steel wheat penny. Let that sink in. A coin that looks like a regular penny, but made of steel instead of copper, can be worth over $100,000. Yes, you heard that right. Some verified examples have sold for over $150,000, and in top condition, even more. So how do you know if you have one? First, check the color. A normal 1944 penny should be a reddish-brown copper color. If your coin looks silver or gray like steel, that is your first clue. But don't get too excited yet, because there are fake coins out there. Next, use a magnet. A real 1944 steel penny will stick to a magnet. A copper penny will not. This is the easiest and fastest way to check your coin at home. Also, look at the mint mark. 1944 pennies were made in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. If there is no mint mark, it was made in Philadelphia. A D means Denver, and an S means San Francisco. All versions of the 1944 steel penny are rare, but some mint marks are even more valuable than others. Now here's something even more exciting. There are other valuable variations of the 1944 wheat penny that collectors are hunting for right now. One of them is the 1944 D over S mint mark error. This happens when a coin originally marked with an S was restamped with a D. If you look closely under magnification, you can see traces of both letters. These coins can sell for thousands of dollars depending on their condition. Another rare type is a double die error. This is when a design was accidentally stamped twice, creating a noticeable doubling in the letters or numbers. Look closely at the words liberty and in God we trust. If you see doubling, you could have a valuable coin. Condition also plays a huge role in value. A worn-out coin might only be worth a few cents, but a well-preserved coin with sharp details can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coins are graded on a scale, and higher-grade coins always attract higher prices. Now let's talk about something that most people ignore, the possibility that these coins are still in circulation. Yes, even today, valuable wheat pennies can still be found in pocket change, old jars, or coin collections passed down through families. Think about it. Millions of these coins were made, and many people never checked them closely. That means valuable coins are still hiding in plain sight. And here's the part that could change everything for you. Most people who find rare coins were not experts. They were regular people who simply took the time to check their change. That's it. No special training, no expensive equipment. Just curiosity and attention. So before you ignore your next penny, take a closer look. Check the date. Check the color. Use a magnet. Because one simple coin could turn into a life-changing discovery. The 1944 wheat penny is not just a coin. It's a piece of history, a wartime story, and for some lucky people, a hidden fortune waiting to be found. And remember, the difference between a 1-cent coin and a $100,000 treasure is knowledge. So start checking your coins today, because the next valuable penny could be sitting right in your hand. Have you ever looked at a simple penny and wondered if it could be worth thousands of dollars, maybe even life-changing money? Most people ignore the coins in their pocket, but what if I told you that a single 1946 D wheat penny could be hiding a serious value right now, and you might already have one without even knowing it? Right after World War II ended, millions of coins were produced, but something very interesting happened with the 1946 D wheat penny. This coin was minted in Denver, and while it may look common at first glance, certain versions of this coin have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. And the scary part is, people are still spending them every day like they are worth nothing. The 1946 D wheat penny is part of the famous wheat cent series, which was produced from 1909 to 1958. These coins feature the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 wheat stalks on the back. But what makes the 1946 D so interesting is not just its history, it's the hidden value that most people completely overlook. Now here's where things get serious. Not all 1946 D pennies are valuable. In fact, most of them are only worth a few cents. But certain rare conditions, errors, and high-grade versions can make this coin extremely valuable. And if you don't know what to look for, you could easily spend one of these rare coins without realizing it. First, let's talk about condition. This is the number one factor that can turn a normal penny into a valuable one. A 1946 D wheat penny in average circulated condition might be worth just a few cents to a couple of dollars. But if you have one in uncirculated condition, meaning it was never used and still has its original shine, the value can jump dramatically. Collectors look for coins with strong details, sharp edges, and no wear. These coins are graded on a scale, and the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. A high-grade 1946 D penny can sell for $50, $100, or even more depending on its quality. But that's not where the real money is. The real money is in rare errors and unique varieties. Mint errors happen when something goes wrong during the coin-making process. These mistakes can make a coin extremely rare and highly desirable to collectors. And yes, the 1946 D wheat penny does have some known errors that can significantly increase its value. One of the most valuable things to look for is a double die error. This happens when the coin is struck twice slightly off alignment, causing the design to appear doubled. If you see doubling on the letters, numbers, or Lincoln's features, you might be holding something special. Another thing to check is repunch mint marks. On older coins, the mint mark was punched by hand, which means sometimes it was punched more than once. If you look closely under magnification and see a D mint mark that looks doubled or slightly shifted, that could increase the coin's value. Also, keep an eye out for off-center strikes. If the coin design is not perfectly centered, it could be an error coin. The more off-center it is, the more valuable it can be, especially if the data is still visible. Then there are die cracks and die breaks. These are lines or raised areas on the coin caused by damaged dies. While some are minor, others are dramatic and collectible. And here's something most people don't realize: luster matters. That original mint shine, often called mint luster, can make a huge difference in value. If your coin still has that bright, almost glowing surface, it could be worth much more than you think. Now imagine this: two identical 1946D pennies. One is worn and dull, worth maybe a few cents. The other is bright, sharp, and flawless, worth hundreds of dollars. The difference? Just condition. This is why collectors are always searching for high-grade coins. And sometimes, these coins are still hiding in old jars, drawers, or even in circulation. So where should you look? Start with your loose change. Check old coin collections, piggy banks, and family heirlooms. Many valuable coins are discovered in places people never expect. And here's the truth that most people ignore: rare coins are still out there. Every single day, valuable pennies are being spent because people don't know what to look for. Think about that for a moment. What if you had a valuable coin and didn't even realize it? What if you already spent one? That's why learning about coins like the 1946D wheat penny is so important. Once you know what to look for, you can start spotting hidden value that others miss. Let's talk about real numbers. A normal circulated 1946D penny might be worth a few cents to $1, but a high-grade example can reach $100 or more. And error coins? They can go even higher depending on rarity and demand. Some collectors are willing to pay serious money for unique pieces, especially if they are rare and in excellent condition. And here's a powerful tip: always use a magnifying glass. Many valuable details are too small to see with the naked eye. A simple magnifier can reveal doubling, errors, and fine details that could turn a normal coin into a valuable one. Also, never clean your coins. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce the value significantly. Even if a coin looks dirty, it's better to leave it as it is. If you think you have a valuable coin, consider getting it professionally graded. Grading services can authenticate and assign a condition grade, which can increase buyer confidence and potentially raise a coin's value. The coin collecting world is full of hidden treasures, and the 1946D wheat penny is one of those coins that can surprise you. It may look small, it may seem ordinary, but under the right conditions, it can be worth far more than 1 cent. So next time you get a handful of change, don't ignore it. Take a closer look, because you never know that one simple penny could be worth a lot more than you think. And remember, the biggest mistake people make is assuming that all pennies are the same. They are not. Some are just pennies, and some are hidden money waiting to be discovered.